Oh, welcome to
Hmm.
the GFFL podcast. We are kicking off the 2023 season. Matt hears some music. We can't hear the music. Spoiler alert, we got some special guests this time. I'm bringing back Taylor Ray from the offseason podcast and our champion, our leader for this year,
Where's
special
my
guest,
chain? Where's my
Matt
chain?
Lawson. His chain is in my car. I'll tease it to everybody, but it'll be in his possession shortly.
It would be cool
Um,
if you could like graphic it over to Matt in the
oh,
video. So like,
Oh,
yeah.
we
We'll
don't.
have to see what we can do.
We're gonna need, this thing's will have to be sponsored before that happens.
We are
okay.
sponsored. Taylor, give us a read.
We are sponsored unofficially by High Noon. The tequila seltzer only. We don't do the vodka seltzer. So no calories, actually 100 calories.
All right.
No,
Got
all,
it.
all normal sugar
Cut the
and
sponsor.
2.6 carbs. Okay.
All
Hey,
right.
T-Roy, congratulations on not getting cut by Barstool today.
I have no comment. We lost a bunch of good people today. It was a rough day. Just trying to have some fun with you guys
Make it sound like World War II.
That's rough. They do y'all's cuts right after the NFL cuts. So you start getting that vibe. You're like, man, that guy got cut from the Panthers, and you get to kind of see what it feels like at the same time.
Y'all got a practice squad they can hop on?
No. We do not. But I feel like that this is going to turn the tide for everybody. This podcast is going to kick off for us. This just is a good sign for 2023, just with the Cubs alone, not with everybody. Not you guys.
Well, I plan on somehow, some way, a weekly podcast, like we try to do every year almost. But this time we're going to keep it up. We'll have rotating guests. You guys, if you want to come back every week, I'd be happy with that. Michael, we'll get Michael in here for sure. Johnny, he's not unfamiliar with the podcast game, but he has been out of it for a while, so I don't know.
Yeah. Can we just quick side note here? I feel like this is warranted. I know this is going to air later. Josh Phillips had his first hole-in-one today on Meadowlands number 3.
Shut up. No, he didn't.
Big deal. It's a big deal.
He's not in this league. His brother is. But
that's amazing.
He had his first hole-in-one. I don't think he took any pictures or anything. He asked for a picture.
He didn't even know it went in. He went up to the green, didn't know it was in there.
Really? Were you there?
Thought somebody else's ball was his and found it in the hole.
Dang, that's awesome.
So we owe him a beer. Shout out Josh if you're listening later when this airs. That's awesome, man.
Congrats,
awesome.
Josh. If you're listening to this, you are truly a great friend because you are not in the league. Newsflash, you might not know this. Congrats on your hole-in-one, but you're not in this fantasy league. Sorry. Maybe one day. We got some people on the back burner. I'm not going to name any names.
I'll name them.
No.
Always
That's not the purpose here. Okay. All right. We're going to break into some questions. I actually wrote up a short little show sheet. That's new for GFFL podcast, but we're going to try it out. Not to say we're not winging it a little bit. I'm sure we're not all super prepared, but first question on the board, I'm going to throw it to Matt first. Since he is our reigning champion, this is a big question because he knows a lot about winning it all. If not you, who wins the league this year?
Chris Murphy.
Wow, that's a good answer.
If it's not going to be me, well, let me say this. I've got our league broken up into 4 tiers right now. I've got the favorites. You got 3 favorites. We can go into those later. We've got the contenders. We've got the pretenders. And then we've got the frauds. And for me, there's only 3 favorites. And so if I had to pick one of the 3 that's not me, it's going to be Chris Murphy. And
so one of the you and 2 others?
Me and 2 others.
Ooh, I'm thinking there's 2 other guys and Chris I think would be in there, but I'm not sure which one you left out. That's interesting.
Sam.
I've got Christian in there right now.
Oh, wow.
But
there's 4 pups, bro.
I'm gonna save it for later, my discussion on Christian.
Taylor, give us your answer, brother. If not you, even though we know it could never be you, who wins the league this year?
Taylor, how many years has it been?
And who
I don't
comes in
know.
second place, Taylor? I got a good idea.
So to be fair, Melissa Melissa beat me in what 2011. That was the last time I was in the no, I was in the championship with versus you, Dylan. You and then Josh and
Yeah.
Dick scored like 90 points combined. And Kamara had 60. So, but anyway,
I
yeah,
remember that.
Melissa got me good in 2011. I don't feel like that's probably the only two times, but we're due. We're working on a name
You
change, but
guys are due, bro.
yeah, I feel like we're close. But going back to what Matt said, everyone knows. No offense to Christian, I do love Christian as a person, but like he's not in the top three. Matt's sucking up for like a Just Jefferson trade or something. Like, he's got something planned. Um, anyways, the
I'd love to see
Chris
it. I don't care where he goes.
Chris is the easy pick. Like he's built for this year, and he's still got some youth too. I've got some more to say about his team later, but that's the easy pick. Mine is pretty easy. And I could not pick a better guy because this is like one of the few guys in the league that I will sometimes bash behind his back, but at the end of the day, I want to see him succeed. That's the newts. That's the nuts. Johnny
Oh
Phillips.
man,
Um,
you think he's
we
ready?
all talked about. Yeah, I think he's ready. I've been looking at his team a lot because I've been trying to get to do a trade with him, but I haven't offered anything. He's got every piece you need. I mean, even like you could look at Keenan Allen and you could say in his flex, which is right now, I could change that, and you could look at Godwin and say, oh, he's got Baker or whatever, and the Chargers have Quentin Johnson, they still have Mike Williams, all that good stuff, but like he's still got like I think this we can get to later, but Javante's on the bench. Yeah, he tore his ACL last year. He's going to take 4 or 5 weeks to get back to normal. But then when he does, he's a fringe RB1. He's got well, Cortland Sutton sucks, but he's got Jahan Dotson on the bench, who is going to explode this year. No offense to Matt and Terry McLaurin, he's going to be he's already better than Terry McLaurin. He's going to pass Terry McLaurin this year. Fringe wide receiver.
It's unlike Johnny to build a team with good pieces on the bench. I think he's finally woke up, cracked the code a little bit. Earlier this offseason, he's made a transformation. Earlier this offseason, he had Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave. You're looking at his team. There's no running backs. You're like, is this guy going to die with these stud young receivers, or is he going to make some moves? And he's done something. It looks
That's
nice.
the thing. That's the thing that I don't like. This is the thing that blows my mind. I usually thought this would used to just be you, Dylan, and Michael. Like, you guys can trade away to nothing, but you always find a way to trade back. Johnny was kind of in that boat. Like, he didn't have nothing. He had Garrett Wilson, he had some studs, he had Olave, but like he didn't have much on the bench. He didn't have much at running back. He somehow traded into a team that's almost twice as good. Stevenson is, I mean, no one's worried about Zeke. Everyone knows Zeke's completely just broken and done. Pollard now has the keys. I'm scared of it. I think, yeah, Chris on paper probably has the edge. I'm taking Johnny.
Yeah.
As a nice bet to win.
Okay, well, I'm going to spin it over to me, and I do not want to be boring, but I have also taken Chris as my pick. The reasoning is that wide receiver group is awesome. I mean, Kupp, Adams, Wilson, Diggs, and then his running backs, Eckler and Akers, Jalen Hurts at quarterback. I mean, it's a superstar team, but the reason I'm going to give it the edge on a team like Johnny's is because his bench is deep of people that could break out, and he's got the picks to fall back on. Mid-season, something goes wrong for him. Akers isn't panning out. This guy can package 6 seconds, 2 firsts, and make something happen. Like,
oh yeah. I was gonna ask you what is a special on his bench, but if you're calculating the picks in there, he does have the
nothing
skill.
special on his bench, but there's nothing in garbage tier either.
Yeah,
like
true.
You've got some guys that are like an injury away from being useful.
Yeah, for sure.
I think he's gonna have to picks. I don't think Akers is gonna get it done, but the rest of his pieces are there.
Yeah, I mean, Akers finished last year like just on a tear, and they didn't make any changes this offseason. His breakout week had 3 touchdowns. I don't know how many weeks the Rams are going to allow him to get 3 touchdown opportunities. That's the scary part. But it's a good team. I like Matt to repeat also. I was trying not to be boring, and then Matt surprised me taking Chris, which now I look at it as like it's not much of a surprise. That team is hot. But Any closing thoughts on that note, or are we ready to move on to the next question?
I think we hammered that one home pretty well. I think we're good.
Hey,
Right,
I'm just gonna say
question.
I've got Johnny as a pretender. I don't even have him as a contender. He's in my pretender category.
That might be your answer to the third question. But the next question is surprise late season contender. This is, you remember the format. We break it down. So starting week 13, unless you're the last place, you still have a chance to work your way into the playoffs and make something happen. What team do y'all see not making that cut of top 4 locked into the playoffs, but making some magic happen in that play-in tournament?
Who's first?
We'll start with Taylor on this one.
So this one, I had my answer, and I'm still going to answer that same question. I don't necessarily think that he's in the bottom tier, because that's not like
it doesn't have to be bottom tier, but it's like somebody if you were tearing off like Matt, making a contender tier, somebody that wouldn't necessarily break into that tier. They're not as good as you look at them. They're not as good as Chris. They're not as good as Matt. They're not as good as Johnny.
So I'm going to go with the team that is another fan favorite that you can't not help but love. They're a great person. And they have they're the smartest person in the league. They just have had some bad luck the past couple of years. That is Michael Carl Gibson. So he's been trying to, I don't even know the right word to say, because what do you call a guy who's trying to outsmart everybody, but he ends up outsmarting himself? That's Michael, but he always has a clear plan. He's not afraid. What I love about Michael the most, he's not afraid to get his guy. And he's had a couple down years, bad luck years with some injuries. He gave me four firsts for Swift a couple years ago. I think that may have bit him a little bit. He's got Swift back. Good karma on his team. He's got his guy Gibson, which I want to keep offering something for Gibson, because I truly believe Brian Robinson is washed. They got rid of the regime that
brother. He got shot.
Good. No, I know he got shot, but he's not. He wasn't good before he got shot. Gibson, if they got rid of that, if they got rid of that regime that thought Robinson was good, hopefully they realize that Gibson is the guy. I want him as a sleeper pick this year, but I'm not going to take his guy. The only thing that this rides on is for Michael being a late season contender is if Anthony Richardson can put together, and there's no reason why I can't, put together a Cam type rookie season, top, fringe top 10, probably can be better than that. But if he can get it together, start off hot, and continue to stay consistent, 20 points a game here and there, maybe he has an off week. He's not going to be the best passer every game starting out. If he does that, it's scary. Elijah Moore is going to break out. I am worried about Marquise Brown, because I don't know if he's going to make it this year, but still has Josh Downs can break out later in the year. He went for his guy Hyatt, who I think is going to make a difference. He's going to be a little spotty. Anyways,
the team is full of upside, high risk players. I like the pick. I considered making that my pick, but a lot of these guys could break out, but a lot of these guys could turn into zeros. It's a fun team potentially, but
this is the team.
It's risky.
I mean,
it's got a nice 1 week ceiling, but there's no way that team can run a 5-week gauntlet in the playoffs.
What? All it takes is Tony to stay healthy. They don't have any.
See, that's a tough thing, brother. I think they could get hot.
Anthony Richardson can't even throw the ball.
I think Richardson. I think they could get hot and make a run.
If you're going to count out, that's my last thing, and I'll let you guys go. If you're going to count out Michael Carl Gibson to not make one or two more moves to get there, you're on your own. I'm not in that tier with you guys.
Brother, he has changed a little bit. This guy just likes collecting his favorite players. And I think it's a good team this year. Do not get me wrong, but it needs a lot to break in his.
It needs one piece to be able to contend in the playoffs the late run. That's what your question was, and that's what I'm going to stick to.
Okay, I like it. I'm not going to hate you for it. I like it.
1 week, Michael is going to be scary. If it was a 1 week matchup, he's going to be scared to play.
That's the thing, bro.
But to have to run it 5 or 6 weeks coming from the 9 spot or the 10 spot or wherever he ends up.
He doesn't have to run it. He just has to face the lab fraud team in the playoffs when Jonathan Taylor is going to be out for the season, and Matt thinks
Miles won it without Jonathan last time.
Listen. If you're in that play-in tournament, I don't think you two are anticipating being in it. I like both of y'all's teams. But if you're in that play-in tournament, do you want to look across the screen and see that you're playing against a healthy Michaels team for a 1 week elimination?
Oh no, I would take that team over the Cubs all day in the 7 versus 8 seed or 7 versus 10, whatever it is.
Okay.
7 versus 10. All right. Do you want me to go, Matt, or you up?
That's going to be a pretty lit week 8 play-in match or whenever.
All right, Dylan, you're up.
The play-in last year, I'll lead with the play-in last year was what did we do it last year or just the year before?
Year before
that.
The play-in the year before, and this is one of the reasons I kind of fell out of love with the design, is that our 5 and 6 just went in. And I think the GFL has been a top-heavy league, and there's been a sharp line drawn in the sand between contending and not. And it still is that way, but I think it's getting a little hazier. This year, there could be some magic, so I'm excited to see it. My team that I think fits the mold, and I'm digging deep into my power rankings for this one, is Victor. This guy, nobody thinks about him as a contender, but look at this lineup. It's Trevor Lawrence, it's Breece Hall if he gets healthy, it's Roschon if he takes the job. If not, he has Khalil Herbert on the bench. Chris Olave, JSN, Drake London, Christian Watson, bad tight end, but whatever. If Vic is sticking to the process, but if something happens, if something breaks and he wins 3 or 4 games in a row, he gets a good seed in that play-in tournament, or it looks like he's going to get a good seed in that play-in tournament. I don't think this guy, I'm not putting it past him to use this 9 fucking 2024 first to turn his team into a ready contender.
He won't do it. He won't get rid of the first. I think he's playing for 2024. He doesn't care what happens.
He shouldn't do it.
I know there's 4 or 5 players in 2024 draft he's not going to give up, but that's still 4 or 5 first that he can turn this team into a contender if he sees that there is some kind of glimmer of hope. If Breece Hall starts balling out or something like that.
Vic thinks
he's building it the right way.
Well, no, Vic has, trust me, no, Vic, you're doing it right, buddy. But he thinks that there's all of a sudden, like, he's got this 2024 draft class down a year in advance. He's big brain to Saul. I think he's gonna come back to bite him if he doesn't trade a couple of these, and I don't think he will. So
he's very confident in this class. I tried to tell him that this is how it feels every year, a year before the class, but he thinks this class is truly special. The year of 2020, when it really was special, that was a game-changing class. It could be like that again. So, I mean, we'll see what happens, how he plays those picks, but it's not a bad situation to be in. He's got a studded lineup and a ton of firsts to fall back on.
Yeah,
that's true.
We do hear it every year. Every year they say it's generational class.
He is trying to pull, like, he is. I think Dylan, he works with you. He still works with you, right? Y'all work together.
Right, we work together.
I do tend to believe that he's got something up his sleeve. I think if you go to the Dylan Gibson School of Fantasy, you don't always show your cards. Like, you can be really good friends with Dylan, and you know that deep down there's something planned there. Maybe
brother, we were taking 8-hour work days and watching undrafted free agent film in that daggone Blue Cross store a couple of days on those slow days, bro. We've been grinding. Victor's changed. He's a fantasy grinder.
I thank him for that. That's why I got Gibson. He got JSN. But, yeah, I think he's got something up his sleeve to keep hyping the 2024 class, capitalize the value, kind of like what you did, Dill, a couple years ago in the JT Edwards-Hilaire class.
Let me tell you about that, though. I didn't use those picks.
That's what I'm saying. You traded them all.
Till draft day, and I told everybody those picks were not available, and then draft day came, and I flipped them for gold. So, I mean –
that's what I'm saying he's doing. He's going to the school.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. But Matt, who you got for a late season pusher?
I'm going to dip down into my list of pretenders here and pull one out of the hat.
Oh God.
I've got is this guy real? I don't think I've ever talked to him before. T Burns 33.
Not real.
Like is that a bot or is that a person?
Taylor, you've met him.
Not real. He's not real.
You've met him multiple times.
I think is this like Chat GPT running a team in our league?
I haven't seen him since flag football 2012.
It would make sense that it's Chat GPT because the free version doesn't go past like 2021, does it?
Anyways, this will be my pick. I do think he has some upside on his team. You look at it, it's Lamar Jackson, who could be QB1 if something happens and he starts running again. He's got the new contract. He's got the receivers. He's got the tight end. So I think that's strong starting off. He's got Aaron Jones, still the starter in Green Bay. I don't know if he will be by the end of the year, but for now, Dalvin, that's probably the weak spot of his lineup. He's got Hopkins, again, high upside, Debo Samuel. If McCaffrey goes down, he could be the focal point of that offense. Kels Easley, top tight end in the league. He's got, who is this? Williams for the Chargers with Quentin Johnson in there. He's like their wide receiver 3 now, but he could still catch some touchdowns. Mike Evans been killing. He's had over 1,000 yards for the past 8 years. On the bench, if he needs to bring Rodgers in situationally, if Jackson goes down, he's got Mattinson on the bench. He's going to be the starter. So I think this is a team that Michael Thomas, nobody knows what's going to happen there, but with Carr coming in, I think those wide receivers could see an uptick. So I think this is a team that if it makes it to the postseason and gets a little bit lucky, he could definitely make a deep run and surprise some people.
Yeah, I like the pick a lot. The thing he's going to need to dodge is the injuries with these veteran players. Also, the good news is though he does have a handful of 2025 firsts that he could fall back on and do something similar, like we're talking about the late season push. So I do like that pick a lot. Tyler's going to hold on for one more year and see if he can make a run at it with these old guys. Let us go to our next pick. We're going to transition a little bit. Our next question, we're going to transition a little bit into the player side of fantasy, and this is going to be a little interesting. Who is the guy you wish you landed on your team this offseason? You can add a story about almost trading for him or anything of that nature, but I will lead off with this one. The guy I was wishing I got this offseason is Zay Flowers. Going into the draft, I thought that I had the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, something of that nature. I thought Zay Flowers had the Ravens stink on him, and nobody's going to take a wide receiver for Lamar Jackson. I was already just locking him into my team, and Taylor surprised me and took him. That's a guy I really think is going to break out this year. I don't think I can get him from Trey, but we'll see what happens. Let's flip it over to you, Trey. Who's the guy you wish you landed this offseason?
Okay, so I got my guys in the draft. Zay Flowers is not going anywhere. He's a guy who is ranked behind probably Quentin and definitely Quentin and definitely Addison. And I didn't want to let go of Addison. He went to a good team. I think Jeff gets a bad rap. He deserves to be with Jeff, but like Jeff, we were talking trade the other day, and like I'm even thinking in my head, like, would I even trade Zay right now for Addison? Like, probably would make sense to do it on paper, but I'm obsessed with Zay. I'm obsessed with the OBJ mentor. Yeah.
It's
Anyways,
a terrible mentor, dude. What an awful mentor.
I'm obsessed with it. The whole Ravens like bad boy.
That's like Chris Brown. Chris Brown being your dating mentor.
Did y'all see the video of Zay Flowers like rapping and the whole team going crazy from like?
Yeah. Yes.
Pretty cool, man.
Yes,
There's going on over there.
He's got like a little bit of. I mean, you know the guys you think are the going to turn into the top 5 receiver rarely are. It's usually the guys you don't think, like Devontae Adams starting off like terrible the first 3 years. No one saw it coming. All of a sudden, he's like top. He's number one for like 10 straight years. But anyways, like I think Zay's got a little bit of like this is another bad comp, but like people said AB, like a little bit of that shifty, like can this guy be good? But I think he's gonna immediately be good. So
are you flipping this question to keep talking about Zay Flowers? I already told you that's the guy I wish I
all right. So the guy I wish I landed. So this was a battle between 2 guys. I'll go ahead and say the guy I'm not gonna pick, but it was Ayuk, who I was ever since I let go of him, I was upset. I'm not going to elaborate any more than that. But because the actual guy I wish I had is DJ Moore, and I had him in my fingertips. I got a little bit bitter with some trade
Brother,
discussions from
you could
Dylan.
have Cancun with DJ.
Yeah,
I could
how
have.
did y'all not get that across the line? Y'all were so close.
I sent him a
just-
spoof offer, and then I backtracked, and he got mad that I backtracked and wanted more.
I remember,
No,
he had so many whiskey sours by that point.
I
He
had my
tried to get an
Cuban
extra
cigar.
$20 FAAB out of him, and he's like, "Nah, I can't do it."
You can't do it.
No, it was Hayden Hurst that I was like, you know what? This guy thinks he can just keep adding.
Oh,
He's
we
droppable.
It literally
Hit the
broke up
button.
Hayden Hurst. I forgot that, bro.
Anyway, I regret it. DJ Moore preseason hype is out of control. Dylan texted me the other day, and I just told him I can't afford him. I know he's going to come at me with the bigger price. I love him. I think everybody's like, oh, first of all, Dylan, you are correct in this regard. His ranking is embarrassing. Whoever's picking this ranking or the crowd, whatever it is, the crowdsourcing, he's below some guys that he should never, even if he's back on the Panthers, shouldn't be below. So it's ridiculous. I wish I had him. I may still get him, but don't know yet. So that's my guy.
Well, maybe we can work something out involving Zay Flowers and DJ Moore.
I'm just scared you're going to say that.
That's happening. Matt, do you got an answer for this guy you wish you landed this offseason?
Yeah, Matt's is going to be like, I wish I could have had like
Kenvay Miller,
Justin Jefferson or somebody. That's all he knows. He doesn't know what he plays.
Yeah, mine's easy. It's Deontay Johnson.
Ooh,
I had in my head the whole time that I was going to get him this summer. I had him targeted. I liked that Steelers offense. The Gibson brothers had him all summer, traded him back and forth, blah, 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 blah. Knew I could get him from one of them. And there were some trade offers out there, never hit accept on them. And then boom, out of nowhere, he goes to Jeff Phillips, and now he's locked up for.
No, he's not locked. He just put him in a trade to me yesterday. You can get him. You just have to put the offers out there.
So that's who I'll say.
I like it. He's I don't want to pump his value up anymore, but he's the guy that's all over Twitter. They're saying he should have got more touchdowns. His positive regression, #1 candidate. It's a good pick for sure. And the Steelers look good in preseason, and that's the thing. Preseason, these guys that are vanilla quarterbacks that played good in college, they're going to play good again in preseason because the defenses are not giving you those NFL looks that make that job so hard. So Pickett, I'm not sold, but it definitely was promising. I mean, hopefully they're better than last year for sure. Let's keep it on you, Matt, if you're ready for it. But let's see who do you think's got a little overhyped this offseason player-wise?
This one's going to come back to bite me in the ass, but I hate the way the word generational talent is thrown around. You look back at Kyle Pitts.
Oh, no.
Generational talent hasn't done shit in the NFL since then. So I have to go Bijan Robinson here.
Oh, man.
You're going to have to prove it to me before you get called a generational talent, before you go 1 or 2 in dynasty drafts.
You're the boomer on Twitter, bro, that goes, how can you rank him up there when he hasn't played a down yet?
I agree. And everybody save the tape. We're going to be in Atlanta 10 days from now, and you can just blast me with this when he goes for 300 on our defense.
I love Falcon hating, bro. Mine's got a little Falcon hate to it as well. My guy is Calvin Ridley. I think he's kind of jumped the shark a little bit this offseason. He's been removed from the game for 2 years. He had one good season. It was when Matt Ryan was throwing the ball like crazy while they were behind. Julio got hurt. Russell Gage had 110 targets that year. The Falcons were 4-12. Now he's wide receiver 14 ADP on Underdog. Like, he's gonna almost have just as good of his best year ever. When they got to spread the ball around, Christian Kirk only had 100. He had 130 targets last year. They're not gonna all disappear and flip to Calvin Ridley. There's Ridley. There's Kirk. They still love Zay Jones for some reason. Evan Ingram. 2 running backs that can get involved. I don't think Ridley's bad, but everyone saw him start running routes again at practice, and they're like, "Oh, let's pump him up. He's a wide receiver 1 this year." And I just don't think he could be a wide receiver 1 in that offense.
Yeah, that's how Taylor thinks. Like they saw him run through that little ladder, and Taylor's like, "Ooh, spark score," and then and Taylor's all over people like that. If you can do some cool drills like the shuttle drill or the V-sit and reach, if you're really good at that, Taylor has a spot for you.
Matt has been mentioning. Sorry, go ahead.
I have a bonus one before I flip it over to you, Trey. My bonus one is Rashad Penny. It's that backfield is so gross. I think Swift is the best talent. They love Gainwell. They're going to use Scott sometimes. People are pumping up Rashad Penny into like a usable weekly, like you can start him some weeks. Jalen Hurts is getting the touchdown. So what's this guy going to do? Run for 50, 60 yards at best between the 20s, and that's going to get you 5-6 fantasy points. What are we doing?
Yeah, I think the only people pumping Penny are the people that own him because they think somehow they're still going to get value for him. He should be essentially a 4th round pick in my mind if you want him like just for a flyer.
Yeah.
I'd rather have Gainwell. I do have Gainwell, but I still think Swift is the guy. Gainwell is going to be nice some weeks, but it's Swift until Swift gets hurt or something. Yeah, Matt keeps throwing around Spark Score. He doesn't realize that we've graduated to like speed scores and agility. He's still using Spark Score and like Dominator rating. Matt, like figure it out. Like you're 3 years behind. Anyway,
grass. He won the league,
He did win the league. I gotta give him credit. He needs his chain, and the trophy. Wait, where were we? Who got overhyped this season? Would I have 2 guys here? No, I'll just go with this guy. This is kind of a dumb answer. I could have came up with somebody better. I just think, and I don't like. I actually want this guy on my team. I think he's going to be good, but like the value pump he's got in just Aaron Rodgers is a little crazy for me. He's right behind Jefferson, and Chase is Garrett Wilson. Like I'm not saying he doesn't belong like right there with Olave, DeMonta Smith, like whatever, but like I don't think he's in front of CD. I'm not sure he's in front of Waddle at this point. I think he's gotten a pump solely because of Rodgers, and I just don't think it. I mean, he's a wide receiver 1. It's just too crazy for me. He's ahead of, I think he's ahead of Bijan too, maybe not right there, and some really good running backs. I wouldn't even like test the waters with him in a trade because of that keep trade cut value and because of what Chris is probably going to want for him. I think he is a wide receiver 1 this year. It's just too rich for me right there in front of CD. So,
well, let me ask this because he's my answer to this question that I'm about to ask you. But if anyone could ever break into that Chase Jefferson tier that's in the NFL right now, who could do it? Can anyone do it?
In the Chase Jefferson tier, I mean,
so-and-so young wide receiver finished as wide receiver 1 this year. They're getting valued almost as high as Chase Jefferson this time next year. Who is that guy? Is it Garrett? Is it Olave?
It's Olave's. He doesn't have the
Waddle jumping over Tyreek and finishing as better than him. Like, who's the guy?
I mean, if you have to pick a guy, you're probably picking Garrett Wilson because I would pick my own guy, but he can't. But you can't do it with AJ Brown there. I would pick DeMonta Smith, but I think he's that good. But you can't do it with AJ Brown there. Waddle can't do it with Tyreek there. So if you're gambling, you're picking Garrett Wilson. I'm just saying, like that's fine. He can still have upside. He's just risen too high in dynasty rankings. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so, that's fair. All right, so we're gonna close the player talk out with the player hot takes. Matt, do you have a hot take for us?
Yeah, I think I already posted it a few weeks ago. I have Miles Sanders as a top 8 running back. I think I'm gonna look dumb if it's not true. Dylan Diggs for him, but I need to get a little bit younger there. I just don't know who's going to score for the Panthers. I think we saw last year that offensive line is good when they run the ball. That offensive line is not good when they pass the ball. So I think they're going to run it to him pretty heavy. I don't think he has any competition. Chuba is awful. Blackshear, he wasn't even – did you see they released a depth chart today and they forgot to put him on there?
That hurt.
So I don't know who else is going to run the ball in Carolina. And honestly, if the offensive line looks as bad in the as it did in the preseason, then Bryce is going to be dumping it off quick. I think Miles is going to eat that up. So I've got him as a top 8 running back this year.
I like that, bro. I feel bad for Blackshear though, bro. I know how that feels. They released the payroll for the office, and I saw my name wasn't on there. I was a little concerned,
That's
but
tough.
probably just a typo thing. But yeah, Miles Sanders, the writing's on the wall, bro. Like they did that Camp Confidential thing where they're telling him, we want you to catch 50 balls again. We had a good run game last year. And just the fact that I keep thinking they're going to bring in a vet, but they're going to roll Chuba and Blackshear. It's going to be the Miles Sanders show. It's going to be a 70-30 split at worst. He's going to have all the opportunity, and I really like that this year. Whether we suck catching dump offs or scoring touchdowns, it's going to be the offense is going through him.
I'll just say this: he's gonna have to pan out for you because you're not gonna get a trade of top 8 value back. I'm not trading Sharp for the guy right now, and
you're not trading Sharp for Miles Sanders.
No, I'm not. That's the guy.
This is why your team has been in the pretender tier for 15 years straight.
I'm just saying,
between you two,
pretender's gonna pretend.
You can't trade him for much right now, unfortunately. So he has to perform.
I don't want to trade him. I want him right where he is in my flex.
Oh, we know.
Tyler, give me your hot takes and cut the tension out.
All right. Well, nothing's fun unless you have 2 of them. So I have 2 hot takes.
I have 2 as well. Go ahead.
My first one is, and this may not be of a hot takes. I think this guy, even with a new coach, is going to prove he's never actually been as good as he was drafted to be, as he was in college. He's going to finish outside the top 30. He has got a little injury going on, so that may aid this, but I would even pick it without the injury. Jerry Jeudy, outside the top 30 scoring. Bad quarterbacks, yes. Bad coaching, yes. But he still hasn't proved it. You've been in the league. This is his 4th year or 5th year. It's at least his 4th year. But he hasn't even flashed, to me, a sign that he can be a wide receiver 1. I had him. I wanted to believe it for a minute. And I'm not saying even when I traded him to Will and Jared that I thought that he wasn't. Like I truly think that he has that in there, but I don't think he's – if you're good in the first 3 years, you show us something. And he hasn't. I think he's outside top 30, injury or not. Second hot take. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that was a cold take. I'm with you.
You're with him? I agree. I mean, he had a good year last year,
but he's being drafted as a high-end wide receiver.
He is getting drafted high, and there's so much that has to go right with Russ, with the new coach, and then say everything does hit and the Broncos uptick a little bit, there's more weapons than there's ever been there. There's Marvin Mims, there's Sutton, there's Jeudy, there's
not Tim Patrick,
Devontae, and I guess Pirine, and then they got 2 tight ends they want to get. But the thing about Jeudy that I'm never going to come back from is his rookie year, the kid got 113 targets and finished as the wide receiver 47. How do you you don't have talent and do that?
See, the thing about Jeudy is like everyone always watches his training camp videos. Like at least I do. I don't know about anybody else. And they're like, "Oh my God, did you see that route? Did you see it?" Everyone marvels over that. He doesn't ever look good in those videos either. I never understood it. Like
because he's got the Jello knees, bro. People love seeing those knees wiggle around like crazy, but that's why he can't stay healthy either, bro. Him and Tony, bro, their knees are the same thing. They got the Jello knees. It's rough.
So look, I hope for the Pup's sake that he pans out. I just don't think he will. Sorry, Pups. And then real quick, and then you can go, Dylan. My next hot take is Sam Howell. Are you still there? You're going in and out. Sam Howell finishes. No, listen. This is a duo. Sam Howell finishes QB1, top 12.
Okay.
Jahan Dotson, wide receiver 1, top 12.
Oh man,
you forget Ron Rivera's their coach.
Yeah,
but they have Kansas City offensive coordinator.
He's never called a play in his life,
brother. I'm not buying the Washington shit at all.
How bad do you have to be to do?
It's a hot take.
How bad do you have to
do
we're not
35? On the hot take. We're taking.
35 interviews in the NFL and not get a job after winning 2 Super Bowls and having Mahomes and having the best offense in the league, that you have to go under Ron Rivera to attempt to try to prove that you can actually get a job.
You think Ron Rivera is calling the offensive plays? No, and also Andy Reid is a mastermind, but you can't give Eric Benimi no credit. Like, he's there. It's gonna be a difference. I don't care. Like last year, they were
you don't even know what his name is. How can you give him credit?
So he took a lateral movement. Like, he didn't upgrade, right? Like, he was OC to OC, right?
He had to break out of the mold.
So if Mahomes cared about this guy at all, he would have said, no, don't give my OC a little bit more money to get him to stay with the Super Bowl team.
Mahomes doesn't need anybody. He doesn't even need Andy Reid.
So you're saying he did good with the Chiefs, but Mahomes doesn't need anybody, bro?
Listen,
it's like Bill Belichick's he's looking like a fraud. I wonder why.
I just genuinely believe that he played a role. Now, Andy Reid obviously played a big role. Patrick Mahomes is talented, whatever. I just think that Washington's been capped by terrible offensive coaches. Ron Rivera is terrible, even though I do love him for the Super Bowl in 2015 that we lost. Mm-hmm. But I just think that it's not going to take that much. It's some smart analytical coaches to get in there, unleash their players that are actually good at football. Antonio Gibson, Jahan Dotson. I don't know if Sam Howell's good, but that's my hot take. So
what's going to happen with –
and Ron Rivera is the worst clock management coach in NFL league history.
Exactly. He's not calling any offensive plays.
What's going to happen with Washington, bro, is they are going to suck so bad. They're pretending like Howell is like good just because they know they're going to try to suck. They're going to be the top team getting the number one pick.
I disagree.
They're ready to get rid of this year. Is like Ron's farewell. They're ready to get rid of him. The Howell thing's a fake. Like, we look like we're trying, but that's not a real. We know that's not a real. He's a 5th round quarterback in a bad draft class. What are the chances that he's actually good?
They beat the Cowboys in the division, and they beat the Giants in the division, not the Eagles. But
how much did you pay for that card?
He got it in a break.
This is some
jersey number.
He didn't even. It's just like the Washington team, bro. He didn't even want that card. He didn't even want Howell. He just got it.
Jersey number.
Now he's got to play it like it's his quarterback one, but he knows he's tanking, bro. Look at his face. Right. He knows that card's gonna stick in that shoebox for another 10 years.
It's a hot take. Wide receiver.
No, it's a hot take. I like it. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the take.
Your turn.
I have 2. DJ Moore. I wanted to toot my own horn with one, and I wanted to not with the other. But DJ Moore, top 8 wide receiver. We've seen so many times, like, situation doesn't matter, which is a kind of rough thing to say with the DJ Moore argument, because why hasn't he been doing it? But the Carolina situation has been so bad, bro. Fields, he goes to Fields and everyone wants to start hating like the situation, but there's no way to not see that as an upgrade. He's gonna be Fields' number 1 target. He's a yak monster. He's gonna finish as a wide receiver 1 at least. My second one is Antonio Gibbs, low end running back 1. And this is crazy because it's so hot takey because people have fallen out on Gibbs, but it falls back on the Commanders. I think they're going to be bad, and they're going to have to dump it off a lot. He's going to catch a lot of balls this year. He has the upside of either them sucking, he catches a lot of balls, or they get good and they realize this guy does more with the ball in his hand than Brian Robinson. What the hell are we doing? I don't know if that's going to happen, but one way or the other, I think he's going to be a low-end RB1. The crazy thing is he's played 3 years. He's been an RB1 2 out of 3 years.
By the way, that's the name of the show, Antonio Gibson and RB1. Title that as the show. But also, too, it's I agree with what you're saying as a hot take, but also, like, I think it goes back to, once again, you're going to give me shit for this, but it goes back to Eric Benimi being you don't coach on the Chiefs for what, 5 years and not know how to get the ball in good players' hands. Sit Brian Robinson.
Well, how do you coach on the Chiefs for 5 years and not get a job?
Because they are You know why? I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna get canceled. But but
Why?
you
I'm
sit
a little
Robinson on the
curious
bench.
too. What is the reason?
You give
T-Ray,
it to
tell me.
Gibson. You give it to Gibson. Freak talent. McLaurin's great. He's actually good, but Dotson's better. He's gonna pass. Sam Howell can get the ball to the players. They have a good enough defense. They're gonna finish second in the division because they know how to get the ball in talented people's hands. That's all you have to do. Stop being an idiot and letting Brian Robinson run in the back of the center. Let's move on.
He did get shot. He got shot though, bro.
I saw him. He lost to
He
Appalachian State at home. He's not that good.
He's not good. Why do we have to be the ones to tell that? Like,
do we have any thoughts before we go into our week 1 matchup predictions? Anything?
Yeah, I want to hear you guys' power rankings.
Let's do the matchup predictions, and we'll close out with some. We'll try to agree on some power rankings.
Let's do a speed round through this. I have to go to bed.
Okay, this is simple. I mean, it's matchups. We got Huntsman versus Blazers. I'm gonna pick myself as a miracle upset week 1 to set the tone. Either of you guys picking me?
Blazers.
No.
Son of bitches. All right. This is a fun first week though. And contrary to popular belief, the only matchup, actually, this is not even true because when I went to set the schedule, the only matchup I was going to repeat in week 1, I was going to tinker with and make happen was the Labs Classics. But when I randomized the schedule, it just showed up that way. So I said, this is perfect. But another great matchup that showed up, the Nuts versus Mean Machine. We got the big brother versus the little brother, and don't forget Brad. Who y'all got?
Matt, you go.
I'm looking at matchups here. Sorry.
And if you're looking at the little projections, some teams don't have defenses and kickers.
Yeah. No, I think give me Mean Machine.
What? Don't disrespect Johnny like that.
That's gonna be a fun matchup, bro. They got the quarterbacks going against each other. That looks exciting.
No,
Cleveland's got a sneaky defense this year. They got 9 of 11 starters back. I think Joey B hadn't had an offseason. It could I think Bengals might start slow. They might lose that one. Mean Machine's gonna win.
It doesn't matter if they lose. Doesn't matter if Bengals lose. Nuts and
Taylor,
nuts
who you taking?
Nuts by 15. Don't disrespect Johnny's name. That's no disrespect to Jeff. I love you, Jeff. If Jeff and Brad are misunderstood, I've really grown on them. We've been talking trade all week.
You've grown on them?
Yes, they get a bad rap. I love Mean Machine, but don't disrespect Johnny. He's in Richmond now. Yes, he moved away from us again, but he's going to win by 15 or more.
I didn't even know Johnny moved.
Yes, he
How would you have?
Exactly.
Fun fact, me and Brad are on the same 7-on-7 adult soccer team now.
Oh, that's awesome. Nice.
Does he run as slow as you?
He had a tough day on the pitch on Sunday.
Okay. All right. Dylan, who are you picking?
I got Johnny. I think it's gonna. I actually think the wide receivers are gonna play out evenly in this one. But the edge is gonna go to the running backs on Johnny's team. You got exciting running backs first.
Yeah,
I hate when I look at the running backs on the Mean Machine, bro. And if they're gonna win games like this, it's gonna be early in the season while these guys are healthy and the rookies aren't making much impact. But it's gonna be a close one. Give me Johnny though. We got the next matchup. We have the Utica Bear Cubs versus the Wolf Pups. This is another fun rivalry. Taylor, let's start with a confidence level on your side.
Confidence level's high. This isn't saying that the Wolf Pups aren't a good team. They're a good team. It's going to be a tough battle. Like, if anything, I'm expecting this to come down to Monday. I don't even know if I have a Monday game or if we do, but it's going to come down to the last game, whenever we have playing. The only reason why I'm picking myself, and I'm being totally honest, if they, I don't know, I haven't checked their bench in a while, but if their flexes truly are Pacheco and Pierce, I'm not super worried. I think Pierce is a little overrated as well. I think Pacheco's been injured. He's going to start slow. They're gonna mix it around before he gets going. That's the only reason why I give myself the edge there, and it's going to be close. It's going to be like maybe less than 5 points. So.
It's interesting that you opened it that way because there's no Monday matchups, but I think it's going to come down to Thursday because
I was gonna say
they have Mahomes, Amon-Ra, and Pacheco going on Thursday.
All right, fair.
That's going to tell, and you have Gibbs. That's going to tell a lot about this matchup. But
yeah, this matchup's going to be over. This matchup's going to be over by Thursday. They've got
it's not your turn.
Mahomes at home versus Detroit. Pacheco couldn't pick a better game to play him right here versus Detroit. Kansas City's probably going to put up 35.
He's not even going to play the whole game.
Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's probably the only player on Detroit I would want in this matchup. They have him. Gibbs probably going to get less than 10 touches in his rookie debut. This won't even be close.
Pacheco won't even play more than 40% of the snaps.
Wolf Pups probably win by 35.
Give me the Bear Cubs, bro. I'm going Bear Cubs. I think they're going to come out high. I think, Thursday night games and first game of the year, they're a little less. It's supposed to be high scoring, but sometimes they're surprisingly low scoring, and the teams start out a little rough, rusty. I don't know if Mahomes and Pacheco both get there, because Pacheco's not catching a passing touchdown. So I think they're going to cancel each other out, leave the window open for Taylor. He needs a couple guys to have a first week breakout, and he's going to take this one away. I feel like.
I do need a first week breakout. I mean, like Pickens somebody's got to show up. That's like, I'm not worried about
Najee playing San Francisco. There's a 8-pointer.
He'll roll across the touchdown.
Devonta at New England. He's the wide receiver 2 for the Eagles. There's probably a 6-pointer.
Devonta. Okay.
All right, let's move on. We hate each other, but let's move on. We got the Dream Team versus the Dream Killers. Miles versus Michael. Any hot takes? Any feelings on this one?
Yeah, give me Michael. Anthony Richardson versus the Jaguars. He might run for 200.
I think so too, bro. They're gonna come out sloppy, and they're gonna if shit looks rough, he's just gonna run. Like in that preseason game where they let him play the most, they kept getting in 3rd and 10, 3rd and 15 situations. He converted every single one. He'd look down the field, nobody be open. He'd take off, run. He'd get 10, 15 yards like it was nothing. If the game actually matters and they're telling him like, fuck, I don't know, do what you can, he's going to run for 100 yards probably.
Actually, I'm flipping my pick. I forgot that I forgot Miles had Kyle Pitts and Bijan, so that's going to be points.
You just they are generational. That's probably why.
That is a terrible matchup for Michael, where Kyle Pitts, I mean, he could easily go for 180 and 2 touchdowns on our defense.
Look. This is a coin flip. There's no other way around it. It's Michael because I don't. First of all, I've not heard much about Kenneth Walker coming off the injury. Like if you told me Kenneth Walker was 100% and
we're in override.
There was no Charbonnet, like I would probably give it to Miles, but I don't trust Kenneth Walker to play his normal snap count with coming off an injury in the preseason. So it's Michael by about 10 to 12 points.
I like that. I'm going to go with Michael as well. If these guys are going to, I think the first week these guys are going to show up a little bit, and this running back situation for Miles is sketchy, and you got Daniel Jones versus Dallas. He could get shut down. Kenneth Walker versus the Rams being half healthy. J.K. Dobbins, we don't know about his health either. He's supposed to be ready. I'm not buying in the James Cook stuff. Like the Bills are just everything except James Cook. Like maybe if they remember that he's there, they'll let him do a little something. and then we got the Falcons canceling each other out. I'm high hopes on the Panthers defense. So that's the tiebreaker for me. I'm too much of a homer. I'm picking Michael on this one.
I didn't pay to go down to Atlanta to watch us get our butts kicked by Bijan and Kyle Pitts. So yeah.
Sometimes it works out like that, though.
What happened?
All right,
Skip this next one.
Yeah, we're gonna go do Big Papa versus the Express first.
Express.
Does Big Papa have a chance for week 1?
No.
No.
I'm going Express as well.
Express.
That one's pretty easy. Chris has a couple of older guys. He's got some older guys on his team. Week 1, they're all, if Cup can get healthy, I mean, regardless, he's going to win that week, and we'll see what he can do after that. All right, we got the matchup of the week. We got the Labs versus the Classics.
It's a good one.
How many times have they played back to back? This is going to be what?
This is a new record. This has to be the first time a team's ever played 4 times in a row.
So I'm going to start out with this one, and I hate to say it and I hate to do it, but give me the Classics Redemption Tour week 1. The Classics, they've got a great roster, great starting lineup. If he's got to put together these wins early while everyone's healthy, while he doesn't have to dig into his bench for bye weeks. I think this is when he's strongest early in the year. If Matt was full strength, his 2-star running backs were in it. I'd say Matt is still going to be super close. I'm going to take Classics by just a little bit.
Let me just ask you this. What do you think about, AJ Dillon had 4 good games last year, had a really slow first 10 games. Do you think he passes Aaron Jones this year, or do you think he is what he always has been and just kind of is the
I
number 2?
I don't think there's any passing at all, bro. I think the best hope for him is a 1A, 1B where he's the B. I don't ever see him passing Aaron Jones.
Okay. That's what I was thinking.
But closing the gap every year, yeah, I can see that. And goal line stuff, yeah. But yeah, that's how I feel about that. Matt, what's your confidence level on taking him down 4 times in a row?
Low. I'm actually taking the Classics in this one.
Oh no.
No, what you said is exactly true. Christian's team is built like it was stuck 2 or 3 years ago when we only had 1 flex spot. If we only had 1 flex, I think I would pick him to be top 2 in the league, but we don't. We have 2 flex spots, and I just don't think that he's built his team around that. That being said, if there was ever a time I didn't want to play him, it's week 1. And with me having a couple players out and his team being relatively healthy, I actually do think he is favored in this matchup. I think if I played him anytime after week 3, I'm going to be favored probably every game moving forward from that. But once Christian's team gets into bye weeks and injuries, I really think it's going to fall apart. I think, he has to win, like you said, week 1, 2, 3, and 4. He has to get through those 4 weeks with no injuries. And then he has to get into his bye weeks. And then, at that point, once he does get into bye weeks, I don't know where he goes.
Bro, what's funny, though,
into his bench.
I've never seen a worse bench. For teams that are tanking, I've seen them, stack up rookies or undrafted free agents that aren't going to get to touch the field most weeks, and you can make a case oh, yeah, I really like him. But I've never seen a worse bench on a contending team. I just never have. And
he might have to dip into free agency to fill the flex spot.
Oh, he will, bro. He definitely will. But here's the fun part about it that I was going to bring up. He had, out of his starters, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, and if you include the kicker, 5 week 7 buys, and he has 1, 2, 3 week 13 buys. So he's taking L's those weeks. I get that might be a good thing for him. That's
actually better.
Yeah, it's better, but it's gonna be funny those weeks. The ones against the Blazers, that's his weakest week. He'll lose the Blazers that week, and then he plays the Big Papa when he has the other bye week trouble. So that could get interesting. But
I just don't think this team won't be relevant after week 12.
I can see it. I mean, he's an injury away from having to start just someone gross every week. Did Taylor, did you tell us who you like?
No, and then this is not who I wanted to pick, but I have to go with who I had written down. So I didn't do this because you guys picked Christian. I had Matt down. Not because I think his team is all that great without Jonathan Taylor
Not because
and
you like him, because
and
we can see
Kamara.
that.
I actually think I honestly genuinely think he's in trouble if he doesn't make a move this year, with no future picks. And then, if Jonathan Taylor comes back in week 4, maybe he's the same old self. I don't see that happening, but I still have Matt week 1. I still think he can put together with his, like, McCaffrey, Chubb, AJ, Cooper. I think he's going to have a good week. I think Deshaun's going to bounce back this year, and it's going to be pretty serviceable. I don't know. I would probably have Kittle in there. Maybe Kittle's injured, that's why you don't have him in there. I'd probably plug him in there. But it's going to come down to.
I don't even know how Komet got in there.
Yeah, it's gonna come down to old Miles Sanders. I just don't enjoy Christian's build outside of his 2 receivers whatsoever. I don't know that Schultz is going to be all that great this year. I think he was propped up in the Cowboys offense. I'm not sure that Stroud will love him as much as Dak did. So, and I don't think AJ Dillon is anything more than a boom bust. Flex play. He's just not sexy at all. I don't, especially with Jordan Love and no Aaron Rodgers. I'm taking Matt this week, next week, whatever, week 1.
Nice. All right. So do we want to call it a show, or do we want to try to piece together a consensus power rankings as best as we could real quick?
Yeah, I've got mine filled out.
Oh, you got yours filled out?
I've got it filled out.
I don't have any filled out. But
let's hear it, and then me and Taylor, if you don't mind, Matt, me and Taylor will just we'll opinionate off of yours.
Cool. You want me? We're gonna go through them one at a time, or you want me to do my tiers? How you want to do that?
Let's do tiers.
All right.
Unbiased rankings.
We starting from the bottom or the top?
Start it from the bottom.
From the bottom. All right. I've got 3 frauds. There's 3 frauds in the league. Starting at the bottom, I have poop emoji, third down Dill.
Why did you do that?
And then right above him, I have the Gibson 777.
Okay.
And then right above the Gibson, rounding out the fraud tier, I have Big Papa 11.
You got wow.
You broke the number 1 rule in fantasy. Don't get the Gibsons riled up, and especially Dylan. This guy's crazy. He'll come and win the championship this year.
The year I won the championship, I was last in the preseason power rankings.
Yeah, and let me here's my caveat for my power rankings: that no picks are taken into account. It's simply the roster, and it's simply for this season.
That's how you would do it. Yeah.
Yep.
I like that. Okay, so I can't. If one team had to come out of that tier and be put into the next tier, I'd say Michael's, just because of the high upside. I know mine's not what it's going to look like in the next. Mine's going to look different every week this year. I'm going to try to work to put my future back together a little bit, and at the same time, hopefully, build something that could make some noise in the play-in. That's my plan. But no, I don't have many arguments to that tier. Taylor, how do you feel?
I don't put. Only reason why I don't put you last is because I don't want to make you mad and you to come beat me again. So, no, I wouldn't put you last regardless, though. But I'm not. I don't. For the sake of time, I'm not going to argue with it. I'm more interested just to hear what your guys' thoughts. I didn't make power rankings, but I mean that's in the ballpark. I probably put. Yeah, it's in the ballpark. So
I think if you run 1,000 simulations of our league, all 3 of those teams have a 0% chance of winning any of the 1,000.
Locking them into no moves,
Well, yeah, but
yeah,
locking them in, but that's not.
Yeah,
just
sure, yeah, and that's fair, and that's how you'd have to do the power rankings, unless we're going to take manager ability into consideration, which just makes shit a little wacky. But
I
yeah,
take
that's
that.
fair. What's the next tier, Matt?
Next year is the Pretenders, and I've got 5 teams in there, and I literally think all 5 of them are interchangeable. They're just all globbed in there together. It's just 5 big fat pretenders that are all just sitting there together. So starting from number 9, I have Miles. Going up to number 8, I have Jeff and Brad. Going up to number 7, I have the Cubs, managed by Taylor Ray.
So you are taking manager into account.
Number 6, I have Tyler Burns. And number 5,
Tyler?
The top pretender on my list is Johnny Phillips.
Oh, wow.
What? And we're all in the same tier? God.
Y'all have all y'all's teams are the exact same.
What? How do I mute them? What's the button? Can I mute people?
Taylor, here's what I have your corpse, Taylor. I have you as the 7th. Let's see. I have you 7th overall. I had you with the 5th best quarterback, 6th best running back group, 8th best wide receiver group, 2nd best tight end, and your flex is one of the worst in the league.
Brother, just because you don't know players doesn't mean you can just call them bad. That's not how this works. You rank Tyler's team in front of me.
I no
offense to Tyler, but
Tyler has the best tight end in the league. That's a big deal.
Personally, I'd have to split the tier. The guys I'd keep in that bottom part of that tier are Miles and I think this is how you ranked them, but Miles and Mean Machine.
Yep.
Mean Machines, those running backs, I just can't get over it. That they can't be in
they can't be in the ninth worst in the league.
They can't be in the same tier as like a team like Johnny's. Like those running backs are just atrocious. Like they're not going to make it through the season, and if they do, they're going to lose their workload week after week after week. Taylor's team, let me look at this again. Let me see if I can make a case.
Their wide receivers are better than Taylor's, though, by far.
Who's this?
Mean Machine.
By far?
Yeah, by far.
Taylor's got better depth.
What? You already said you wanted to target Ayuk. They have CeeDee Lamb. He's 3rd best wide receiver in the league. They got Deontay. He was my sleeper that I wanted. And then Christian Kirk, we'll see what he does. But that clears your wide receiver core by far.
CeeDee Lamb makes sense, but DK better than just at least in the same tier. He's definitely ranked ahead of Ayuk. So wrong. Pickens ranked ahead of Kirk. I mean, I'll give you again the same tier and meet you halfway, but wrong. Deontay Johnson, Pickens is better than him. I mean, like I'd rather have Zay Flowers over Deontay. Wrong. Like, dude, give me a break with this. This is ridiculous.
Taylor does have the quarterback, tight end, and running back advantage on them. It's tricky. I'd definitely personally put Miles and Mean Machine a tier below. Let me see. Tyler, making a case for him. I'd put him in the lower tier too, just because these guys are old. But the Kelsey thing, man, Kelsey in any of these leagues, and it's been like this for years. Kelsey gets you into the playoffs as long as you build a half decent skeleton around him. So, I mean, we'll see what happens with Tyler. So, what does that leave? Do you have your top teams ranked, or what does that leave the top tier?
No, that leaves 2 more tiers. One tier, the contender tier, and there's 1 team sitting in it.
There's 1 team in the contender tier?
That's it. Just 1 in the contenders.
What's the other tier called?
That's Will and Jared. Should have been Rich.
Oh, I forgot about that. Okay, so yeah, Will and Jared. So they're not quite getting into the top tier, but they're escaping that pretender tier.
They're not getting into the favorites, and in my favorites, I have Christian Martin 3rd. I got the Labs coming in 2nd, and then I have CT Murphy coming in 1st.
I don't know if I can put Will and Jared like undoubtedly past Taylor and Johnny. They have superstars, but
I mean, they're solid. They've got the best quarterback in the league. They've got, I had them as the 4th best running back core, the 3rd best wide receiver core, and they have a top 5 tight end. So I thought that was enough to put them in a tier on their own.
That's fair.
Matt, where do you have your receivers ranked? Just out of curiosity.
I had them 4th or 5th.
So the favorites tier we're going is Chris, Matt, and who am I blanking on?
Christian.
Christian. Okay. If I had to pull a team out of that, I'd probably personally glob a tier below you and Chris as pups, classics, nutrients. Then I put Taylor in a tier by himself. But we're splitting hairs. I like the rankings. They're good. Taylor, you got any final thoughts on the rankings?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm on a different planet than Matt on some of those things, but that's our shtick. So, yeah, I mean, Chris is up there, man. Like it's Chris and I actually have Johnny ahead of Christian and Matt. I have Johnny at number 2. I'm genuinely mean that. I have him above everybody
I
else.
don't have Johnny in the top 5 for quarterback, running back, wide receiver, or tight end. How are you going to put him in the top 2?
You don't have him in the top 5 for quarterback, and he has Joe Burrow?
No.
Who's your top 5?
I think I put Mahomes, Lamar, Fields, and I can't remember who my other one was.
Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Fields,
Josh Allen.
Yeah.
You have Fields in the top 5, but you wouldn't trade Fields for Justin Herbert? I'm confused. So, anyways.
Who's your quarterback, Taylor?
Fields.
Okay, yeah, I had him ahead of Johnny's, and then who's Tyler Burns' quarterback?
Lamar.
Yeah. All right, yeah, those are the 5.
Okay. No, I mean, I just like Johnny across the board, and the only reason why I'm sticking up for Johnny is because whether Burrow's top 5 in your rankings or not, he's a top 5 like dynasty quarterback scoring wise. In my mind, like the question mark for him is Pollard has to, now that he has the full keys, like he has to show out, and I think he will, barring anything crazy Jerry Jones does there. But Waller's he is sorry, out of the injury zone he was in. If he's healthy, he's a freak. And then the only reason why, like, I don't love Keenan Allen in the flex, but he's got Jahan Dotson and Javonte Williams right there on the bench. So I think he's got too much depth and too much top tier. Like, you know, Waddle and Higgins are both wide receiver 1. Sure, Jamar's there, but Higgins is always on that fringe wide receiver 1 tier. So, yeah, I mean, like, look, Matt, like, I'm actually, you know, your team's good. I'm not hating, but you're super close. Like you're putting on a lot of stock. If JT comes back, right, your worries get a lot less. But
I just won the whole league without JT and without Kamara.
Okay, but you also had Diggs, and you had a couple other more people. You had Fields. Herbert's a great wide receiver, quarterback 1, but he's not sexy. He's right around 18 to 22. McCaffrey's sexy, Chubb's sexy, sure, but then you go like McLaurin, like he's a fringe wide receiver 2 in my mind. And then Sanders is definitely not a top 8 running back. He maybe finishes top 24. Cooper's fine. He's
That's
older.
hating, bro.
You're making the case for this is why you're a pretender.
Matt, you got to make some moves. You're gonna roll out McLaurin and Miles Sanders and Amari Cooper for the whole year. You can't do it.
Only missed one move I wanted to make this offseason. I told you that, and now you've already told me Deontay's for sale, so I'm gonna go get him.
You won't. You won't, because they don't want Mooney and Terrace Marshall for freaking Deontay. So good luck.
I agree. Wait, Matt's team is just not ready now that Tyquan Thornton's on IR.
Hey, I saw that today. What happened to him?
Who is Tyquan Thornton?
You don't know any of these fringe players, Taylor.
He doesn't matter. He's a role player.
I know, I'm just playing.
Hey, what are you gonna do when Quentin is that one that busts up into the Jefferson and Chase tier at the end of the year.
I'll get a tattoo.
Y'all would both. That would be tough for both of y'all because Dylan knows I did not want
Get a tattoo. Can we make Can we make a bet on a tattoo bet? What would Quentin have to finish, Taylor, for you to get a QJ tattoo on your arm?
He'd have to finish. He'd have to be ranked in the Jamar and Justin J. Jettis tier.
What if he finishes wide receiver 1? Will you do it?
He's got to be top 3.
No, it would have to be insane for me to get a tattoo.
Okay, fair.
It'd have to be insane.
I mean,
I've seen you get tattoos for a lot less.
Yeah, dude, you joined a fraternity and got a tattoo.
You're saying tattoos plural. I have one tattoo, so don't put an S on it.
Okay, I've seen you get a tattoo for a lot less.
Some dude was like, "Here, take a lick of my butt," and you're like, "Ah, that's tattoo worthy."
Cut the recording.
The recording. All right, guys, we're gonna try to do it weekly. This was a little off-season recap and a week 1 preview. So we'll make them shorter and sweeter for the next following weeks. But I hope y'all enjoyed listening, and it was a good time talking GFFL regardless. Any closing thoughts, Matt or Taylor?
Johnny Michael, get in here next week, please.
We'll rotate. We'll do some rotational.
Oh, I got a closing thought.
Okay.
Minnesota just kicked a game-winning field goal to beat Matt Rule in Nebraska, 13-10 at the buzzer.
FM, bro.
Let's
FM.
go.
God, I hate that guy. All right, close it out. So long. Good luck, guys.
Keep pounding.
Thanks, Heinen.